So on to breakout NFL offensive picks. I was having a conversation with Dels the other day, and he was saying there's no quarterback that he feels strongly about this year to break out. Usually we have rookie quarterbacks we're invested in. They go into year 2, and we're expecting a breakout. But C.J. Stroud already broke out, so that can't be an answer. I'm curious to know if any of you guys have a quarterback you do feel strongly about that this year can break onto the scene in a similar fashion as C.J. Stroud did and Jordan Love did.
It's tough to say, but two quarterbacks that I'll go to bat for, Anthony Richardson. That's an obvious pick. Everyone that's talking about football and breakouts, Anthony Richardson's name is going to be brought up with Shane Steichen. You saw what Gardner Minshew was able to do last season. Now you have Michael Pittman, you have Jonathan Taylor, a solid offensive line in front of AR. You have Josh Downs. You just drafted A.D. Mitchell. This is a solid foundation for Anthony Richardson to go in there and succeed. Now, last year, he needed to refine his passing a little bit. Hopefully, this offseason, post-shoulder surgery, he was able to work on his mechanics there. But in the small sample size we saw out of AR, there were flashes of what we all anticipated coming in, that he can be an explosive option at the quarterback position. He can have the upside of being the best quarterback in the draft. With CJ being this good, who knows if he'll ever reach those heights. But again, you have to go on upside and talent, and AR has all of that. I think AR is going to have himself a great season. And last guy, I'll go to bat, the number 1 overall pick last year in Bryce Young. Dave Canales is now taking over the helm in Carolina. You have Deontay Johnson. They just drafted Xavier Legette. Now he at least has options that he can throw to on a consistent basis that are better than Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen being his only option last year was a disservice to the progression of Bryce Young. And it really got to a point where it was unfair to criticize and really evaluate last season for Bryce Young because of the surrounding pieces around him were so atrociously bad. The front office, you want to talk about dysfunctional organizations, what David Tepper came in and automatically tried to do with the Carolina Panthers was a complete disservice to the players on that squad. And last year, obviously, the end result showed. To me, I think Bryce Young now coming into year 2 with Dave Canales, we saw what he was able to do with Baker Mayfield. I'm anticipating coming in that he's going to be a lot more refined. It's going to be a lot more plays that are just going to be drawing up and scheming up these receivers for him to make easy throws either down the field, in the intermediate, hitting the checkdowns. I believe that Bryce Young will have himself a nice breakout season, but I will still go to bat for AR more than Bryce Young at this point in time. I just think AR is in such a much better situation that it's hard not to go AR right now.
Yeah, AR would be my pick as well. I'll go with somebody else just because, Drew, you talked a lot about what I was going to say. I think Drake Maye is getting overlooked. I really like Drake Maye coming out of college, coming out of NC. He was the obvious number 2 pick, in my opinion, the entire process when you talked about Caleb, when you talked about Jaden Daniels. And it's hard not to look at this 2024 class and not think about the 2021 class, where you had this generational prospect with Trevor Lawrence and Caleb Williams. The number 2 overall pick in the 2021 class for a majority of the season was going to be Justin Fields. But then, of course, you had Zach Wilson shoot up super high. And then number 3, Jaden Daniels, who kind of bursted onto the scenes. And although Trey Lance had 2 years, or I guess 1 year of productivity, and then his final year he sat out because of the COVID season, there's a lot of similarities there. And we look at the 21 class, most of it didn't work out. But I think Drake Maye, although the situation isn't great, I think he's further along than what people are giving him credit for. I think there was a lot of questions around his prospect profile, and when you look at 2 seasons ago, he was one of the better quarterbacks. If you put him in that 2021 class with Bryce Young, I think he would have gone number 1 overall. He was that talented to me. This past season, though, you lose some guys on the offensive line, some skill positions. He wasn't the same player. But I think going into New England, I'm higher on these receivers, this receiving core, I think, than most people. I like Demario Douglas. I like Jalen Polk. The other guys, Javon Baker, Kendrick Bourne, just as filler pieces are fine. Of course, we're still talking about one of the bottom of the barrel type of receiver rooms, but I think Drake Maye has the talent to be able to not overcome it, but to play well enough. And I think Gerard Mayo, for the most part, knows what he's doing. First-time head coach, but learning under Bill Belichick for years, of course, just being in that New England system. I kind of just have some blind faith in that. So I really like Drake Maye, and I'm a little upset he's on New England.
Anthony Richardson is the pick that everybody's going with, which makes me think there's some caution there. It's kind of like everybody's saying, go this way, go this way. And hey, maybe they're right. But right now, I kind of feel as if something could go wrong here. And not that I think anything will.
That's pessimistic of you.
I'm looking at Anthony Richardson this year as a rookie. I think he's a rookie. Okay. This is his real rookie season.
I agree.
So I don't think there's going to be a breakout to where he really puts himself and cements himself at the top of some quarterback discussions. I actually think this quarterback's going to have a better season. I think Will Levis is in the best position to break out, and he's going to have the best season of any second-year quarterback not named C.J. Stroud. I just look at the way he plays the game, and I'm infatuated by it. He's a gunslinger, fourth highest in percentage of plays that went for 20-plus yards, only behind Brock Purdy, who has a great supporting cast, Matthew Stafford, great offensive supporting cast, and C.J. Stroud, who his offensive supporting cast burst onto the scene this year. So for Will Levis to do that, with lackluster offensive talent around him, I thought was really impressive. He was fifth in big-time throw percentage. He was first in A-dot. The bad with him is that he is overly aggressive, so he was eighth in turnover-worthy play percentage, but Will Levis is going to take those risks, and I feel like sometimes you need that in an offense. I think another alarming thing about him is just his pressure-to-sack ratio. He does tend to stay in that pocket. He does tend to take big-time hits because he's looking for plays down the field. But the reason why I'm not taking that stat as a knock on him is because he was number 2 in the NFL, where in offensive line allowed pressure responsibility, he was at 91.5%, which means 91.5% was an offensive line issue, not his issue. Number 1 was Joe Burrow at 94%, and he was fourth in drop percentage. You get J.C. Latham to replace Andre Dillard, who last year, surprisingly, the Titans were number 1 in allowed pressure from the left tackle position, 43.2%. That was just an astronomical number. Second place was 34.3%. So just getting any upgrade from Andre Dillard is a massive upgrade, and then you upgraded at receiver, so now the drop shouldn't be that much of an issue. I think Will Levis, the way he plays a game, allows for a lot of high variance. I could see a season where maybe he throws for 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, and he has the Titans in the mix all year long to be in that wild card hunt. I think Will Levis is going to have a really good year.
You know, everybody has their different definitions of breakouts, right? It could be a rookie that kind of got slept on draft night, and he breaks out into the scene as one of the best in his class. Could be a year one guy who didn't have a good year one like Bryce Young. He burst onto the scene, and people start remembering his name. My guy is kind of a guy who's kind of been forgotten about for a couple of years. Now he's in a new situation, a beautiful, splendid situation with, you know, the best receiver in the world. Pretty great tight end that they got last year in a trade. And then Jordan Addison. Hopefully he figures out all that situation. He comes back. But my breakout is probably gonna be Sam Darnold. You know, I just think right now with the situation that he's in, it's damn near a perfect system, a perfect situation just in terms of the coaching and the offensive weapons. Like you have Jettas, you have Jordan Addison. They just got Aaron Jones. If he's healthy, he's another option in the pass game. You have T.J. Hockenson. Like you've just built this damn near perfect situation. And I guess the definition of breakout in this scenario would just be to understand that to make people realize Sam Darnold is a good quarterback, or make people realize he can still play at a high level if given the right situation, if given the right pieces around him. And I know this is the kind of perfect. Not everybody's going to get this situation. You still got to go out there, perform. We've seen guys not perform with still well situations. So for me, my quarterback would just be Sam Darnold.
Okay, I love the Sam Darnold prop. I haven't heard Breakout pick Sam Darnold since 2021.
It's been a while.
We're here.
I like that. So what do you think he's going to finish with numbers-wise, if you were to guess?
22-9 with 3,200.
You think he'll play the entire season?
Yes.
There won't be a moment where JJ comes in.
He will if they're not playing well. If they're playing like they're hovering in the playoff hunt and they stick to being competitive, he'll play. And if he's not stinking it up. If
I'll
he's
tell you
playing
what,
like shit,
those
though.
first 3 weeks of, is it the 2021 season?
They have a tough start to the schedule.
No, I mean that in the sense of CMC, when he finally had an opportunity with the Carolina Panthers and CMC was healthy, he was playing some good ball.
He was 2-0. They lost that game that CMC left. I think they were 2-1 at that point.
He had an insane amount of rushing touchdowns for those first couple of weeks.
You got some guys
too.
out there, man. Just throw the ball to Jettas, throw the ball to Addison, TJ, Aaron Jones. If he's
having
healthy.
Kevin O'Connell as your head coach too should make things a lot more simpler if you're Sam Darnold. And all he has to do is do his job.
Yeah, fun fact about Kevin O'Connell is that Nick Mullins, he's played for various offensive coaches before within the Shanahan tree. His numbers with Kevin O'Connell were better than any of his numbers with Kyle Shanahan or any other coach he had. So Kevin O'Connell, I think it just shows that he's going to get the best out of a certain quarterback. Nick Mullins was actually very efficient. The problem with him is that he threw a boatload of interceptions. He just YOLO'd it, and he did not care.
He did do that sometimes.
If Sam Darnold stays within the rails of the offense and doesn't turn it over like that, I think he can have a really good season.
If Sam Darnold throws under double-digit interceptions, that's a W.
It's a movie.
22-9 is a pretty solid year, truthfully.
Even 22-10, I'm cool.
Yep, I'm fair. I'm
cool with it.
I'm
Just
fine
show
with
you
that.
can play in the NFL. You
Exactly.
can start somewhere. That's the bar right now.
Sam
I hope he
has
gets it.
moments where he shows that he belongs in the NFL.
Yeah, versus the Packers, 348 yards, 3 touchdowns versus Aaron Rodgers.
Remember, like yesterday.
That game versus the Cowboys, too.
It might have been 2 touchdowns, but 300 yards definitely. Oh man, I thought we had the future right there.
Can you believe Sam Darnold's first play in the NFL was a pick six?
And
One of the
That is
worst
so
pick
funny.
sixes too, bro. Oh my god.
and one of the best wins ever.
Yeah, facts.